In the heart of the forest, where ancient trees stretched towards the sky like wise old sages, a whisper of truth lingered in the air. Stillness is the sanctuary for the restless. This profound thought hung like morning mist, teasing the edges of Li's consciousness. As he wandered through the dense thicket, the weight of uncertainty clawed at him. Paths twisted and turned, leading him deeper into a labyrinth of shadows and doubt. Li was a weary traveler, not just in the physical sense, but emotionally exhausted. The burdens he carried were immense: fears of failure, suffocating expectations, and an insatiable thirst for validation. He had set out on this journey in search of purpose. Yet as the forest closed around him, he felt more lost than ever. Each step seemed to echo the tumult within. Every rustle of leaves mirrored his racing thoughts. The jagged edges of anxiety gnawed at his mind, and he could not shake the feeling that he was merely an imposter, floundering in the current. As he leaned against a gnarled tree, the bark rough against his back, he closed his eyes, hoping to find solace in the stillness around him. Yet the stillness only amplified his inner turmoil. The expectations he faced were like heavy stones weighing down his spirit. Family, friends, and society all seemed to echo the same relentless question: what will you do with your life? Each inquiry felt like a stone added to his already burdened shoulders. The pressure of finding an answer, the right answer, crushed him beneath its gravity. There was no guidance, no clear path, only a state of confusion that enveloped him like the mist rising from the forest floor. Driven by despair, Li opened his eyes and forced himself to walk again. The forest thickened around him, each step a battle against the cacophony of his thoughts. The branches overhead formed a canopy that filtered the fading light, creating shadows that danced like the doubts in his mind. What if I never find my way? What if I... But even as he considered this, a wave of tiredness washed over him. He felt himself slowing, not just in body, but in spirit. The endless search for meaning had drained him, leaving only a hollow shell battling against despair. Just then, a soft sound broke the weight of silence, a gentle rustling, like the whisper of the wind through the trees. Li turned, half expecting to see a figment of his imagination. But there stood an old man, his white robes flowing gracefully with the breeze, his presence as serene as the forest itself. The man carried an aura of calmness, a stark contrast to the storm raging within Li. "Why do you wander, young traveler?" the old man asked, his voice low and soothing, as though it had been carried by the breeze from far-off mountains. Startled, Li responded, "I seek direction, purpose. I feel lost among the many roads of life." The master tilted his head slightly, an inscrutable smile gracing his lips. But have you ever considered that sometimes Stillness, he echoed, pondering the concept in a world so driven by the urgency of action. "Yes," the master replied, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "When the waters of your mind are turbulent, how can you discern the path before you? Perhaps it is in the gentle embrace of stillness that the answers you seek will emerge." Li felt a stirring within him, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. How could he simply be still when every whisper of the forest mirrored his own racing thoughts? "But what if the stillness leads me deeper into this uncertainty?" he questioned, the doubt evident in his voice. "Sometimes," the master said softly, "we must confront our fears to find our true selves. Only in the heart of stillness can we confront the storm within." As the master's words settled into the depths of Li's mind, a sense of calm washed over him, the first he had felt in a long time. It was as if the forest itself had paused with him, and for a brief moment, the cacophony of anxiety quiet. Before delving deeper into this introspective journey, take a moment to pause and consider your own stillness. If you find value in seeking wisdom through these stories, subscribe to our channel and join us as we explore the journey of Li in the next chapter. As the shadows grew longer and the whispers of the forest deepened, Li stood at the precipice of transformation. Would he embrace the lesson of stillness, or would he allow anxiety to dictate his fate? The answer awaited him, a delicate echo lingering in the wind, as if the forest itself held its breath in anticipation. In the dim light of the forest, the wise master's gaze rested upon Li, his calm presence a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling within the young traveler. With a gentle nod, the master gestured for Li to sit beside him on a moss-covered stone, inviting him into a space of quiet reflection. "Let us share a moment of stillness," he said, his voice like a soft breeze rustling through the leaves. Li hesitated. It flows effortlessly, adapting to the shape of its container. In stillness, it finds clarity. Li leaned closer, captivated by the metaphor. The master continued, "When the water is disturbed, it becomes murky and unclear. But when left undisturbed, it reflects the world around it perfectly. So too must you learn to embrace stillness to find clarity in your thoughts." As the steam curled gently into the air, Li felt a wave of understanding wash over him. "But how can I be still when my heart races with doubt? I am lost in the tumult of expectations," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. The master nodded, acknowledging Li's struggle. "Imagine a bamboo stalk. It bends with the wind, yet remains rooted in the earth. It does not resist the forces around it, but adapts, growing stronger with each challenge." Li closed his eyes, visualizing the bamboo swaying gracefully, its strength hidden within its flexibility. "So, you are saying I must learn to bend, to adapt to the press. But first, you must still your mind. Take a deep breath." Li inhaled deeply, allowing the fragrant steam of the tea to fill his senses. As he exhaled, he felt the tension in his shoulders begin to dissipate. The master handed him the cup, their fingers briefly brushing, a moment of connection that grounded Li further in the present. "Now, listen," the master instructed, his voice calm and steady. "What do you hear?" Li closed his eyes again, focusing on the sounds around him, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the gentle whisper of the wind. "I hear life," he replied, a hint of wonder in his voice. "Exactly," the master smiled. "In stillness, you can hear the whispers of the universe. It speaks to you, guiding you towards your path. But when you are lost in noise, you cannot discern its message." As Li sipped the tea, the warmth spread through him, igniting a sense of peace he had long forgotten. "I feel lighter," he admitted. "But how do I discern the path before me? Just as the river finds its way to the sea, you too will discover your direction through patience and stillness." Li pondered this, the master's words echoing in his mind. "But what if I make the wrong choice?" he asked, the familiar fear creeping back in. The master's gaze was steady, unwavering. "Every choice leads to growth. There are no wrong paths, only lessons to be learned. Embrace each experience as part of your journey." With each sip of tea, Li felt the weight of his fears lifting, replaced by a burgeoning sense of hope. The forest around him seemed to breathe with life, each sound resonating with newfound clarity. He envisioned himself as the bamboo, resilient and adaptable, ready to embrace the winds of change. "Thank you, Master," Li said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I see now that stillness is not a void, but a canvas upon which I can paint my journey." The master nodded, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. "Remember, young traveler, Stillness is the sanctuary for the... He felt lighter, as if the burdens he had carried had been washed away by the gentle stream of understanding. The forest, once a labyrinth of confusion, now felt like a sacred space filled with endless possibilities. The sun dipped lower, casting golden rays that filtered through the trees, illuminating the path ahead. Lee stood up, a renewed sense of purpose surging through him. "I will carry this lesson with me," he vowed, his heart steady and resolute. As he turned to leave, the master called out softly, "Remember, the journey is ongoing. Each step you take is a step towards greater understanding. Embrace the stillness, and you will find your way." With those words etched in his heart, Lee stepped forward, the forest opening up like a blossoming flower. He walked with a newfound grace, each footfall a testament to his journey of self-discovery. The shadows that once loomed large now danced playfully in the fading light, and the path ahead shimmered with the promise of clarity and poo. He was no longer a weary traveler lost in confusion, but a seeker of truth, ready to face the unfolding adventure of life. And so, with the wisdom of the master guiding him, Lee stepped into the unknown, a heart full of hope, a spirit unburdened, and a mind at peace. "Life is a journey," he whispered to himself, a smile breaking across his face, "and I am ready to embrace it." But even as he walked, he felt the stirrings of another question, one that lingered just beyond his grasp. What other revelations await me in this vast world? And thus, the journey continued, for the master still had another lesson to share, one that few were prepared to hear. Before you go on this journey, remember to like and share this story, for in sharing, we grow together.